It began with a silence so complete that it felt manufactured, an emptiness so heavy it seemed to bend the air around it, the kind of stillness that doesn't exist in nature. That's why, when I first saw the mysterious upload on August 14th, 2019, titled only in white block letters as blank soup room, 47:02, I knew I wasn't watching an ordinary dark web curiosity, but I didn't yet understand that I was about to witness something that would consume my thoughts for years. The camera opened on a pale, windowless room. The walls and off-whites so faded they seemed to bleed into each other, floor tiled with dirty linoleum. And in the exact center, a single steel table with an unmarked ceramic bowl filled with what looked like thick, gray soup, steam curling upward in slow motion as if the air itself was resisting time. There were no footsteps, no ambient hum of electronics, no flicker from the light. The fluorescent strip above burned with a cold steadiness that felt wrong, almost aggressive in how it refused to blink. And then, at precisely the 2 minutes and 14 seconds timestamp, a shadow crossed the far corner of the frame without any visible source. I remember leaning closer, telling myself it was compression artifacting, but the next moment, a figure stepped into view, tall and impossibly thin, dressed in an apron smeared with something too dark to be food stains. Face covered entirely with a featureless white mask that reflected the light like porcelain. It didn't speak, didn't even acknowledge the camera, just stood beside the table and stared down into the soup as though it contained a map to another world. After 30 full seconds, it dipped a long, skeletal ladle into the bowl and lifted it toward the mask. But instead of consuming, it poured the contents slowly onto the floor, where the liquid didn't spread normally, but instead pooled in a perfectly circular puddle, shimmering in a way that made my stomach clench, like looking into water you know is too deep to be safe. At 5 minutes and 19 seconds, faint knocking began somewhere outside the room. Not random, but in a measured pattern. 3 slow knocks, pause, 3 faster knocks, pause, repeated over and over until I realized it matched the rhythm of my own heartbeat. I tried to pause the video, but my mouse stopped responding. I swear to this day my computer locked me into watching. The figure began circling the table counterclockwise, its steps deliberate, each footfall making no sound, yet causing the soup in the bowl to ripple as if reacting to vibrations from somewhere else entirely. At 11 minutes and 7 seconds, the camera zoomed in without anyone touching it, framing the bowl so tightly that the soup's surface filled the entire screen, and within those swirls of gray, faces began to appear. Not reflections, but moving expressions, mouths opening in silent screams, eyes darting as though trapped beneath some invisible surface. I recognized one of them, a missing person whose face I'd seen on an old news report, and my stomach turned. As the minutes crawled by, the figure began ladling soup into invisible mouths in the air, holding the ladle aloft as though something unseen was accepting the offering. At 23 minutes and 54 seconds, the fluorescent light flickered once, the only break in its impossible steadiness, and when it steadied again, the figure was gone, replaced by a chair that hadn't been there before, positioned exactly where it had been standing. The knocking stopped, replaced by a faint sloshing sound, but the bowl was now empty. The puddle on the floor had vanished entirely, the tiles beneath it bone dry. I thought the video might end, but at 38 minutes and 22 seconds, the camera panned, slowly, shakily, almost as though carried by trembling hands, toward the far corner, revealing a new figure sitting in the chair. Me, my exact clothes, my exact posture, my own terrified face staring into the lens with eyes that didn't blink. I don't remember breathing for the final minutes as I, in the video, leaned forward, placed my own hands flat on the table, and began whispering something too low for the mic to catch, my lips forming shapes that looked like my name over and over again. The final second of footage glitched violently, the white walls flashing black, the frame distorting, and a line of text appeared. "You drank." Then the video ended, the player closing itself. I tore through the web archives trying to find it again, but every trace was gone, except for one dead forum post claiming the original uploader vanished the same week, Their apartment found with a single steel table and a bowl of thick gray soup, still steaming despite the room being cold. I've never found out who filmed it, how my likeness ended up in it, or why every time I stand in my kitchen past midnight, I hear faint knocking from somewhere behind the walls. But if you're still here listening to me tell this, you might want to like this and subscribe right now, because if the blank soup room video ever resurfaces, I'll need to tell you exactly what to do before you end up in it.